Happy Saturday, baby light workers. How are you guys doing? This is Amlee, your everyday light worker, bringing you the September energy update with regard to light work. So let's get started. Let's talk about what we've been doing these past few months with regard to energy. Want to revisit what was happening in July and what has happened in August and talk about what we can expect for September. So, if you remember, here is my July graphic. In July, there was a lot of clearing and transmuting of 3D energies. And then for this month, August, we moved into the collapse of global 3D structures. A lot of transformation and creation. Um, we had things like a lot going on environmentally with buildings collapsing from explosions, and a lot of volcanoes are erupting. We've got hurricanes and tornadoes and a lot that is going on to collapse structures um, in the 3D. So remember this graphic where um, I was talking about how there's a lot of fear being generated in 3D. This fear, a lot of it is related to coronavirus, a lot of it's related to politics, the economy, and the point of all the fear is to keep people in a state of fear to be controlled. And it's about certain 3D forces trying to maintain power. So we've been working through all of that in August. What we're seeing with the collapse of structures is that 3D is really trying to hold on to that power and that control, and it's not working because the other energy that wants to move beyond 3D is busting up those structures and really resisting the being manipulated by fear and control. So we've got that going on, but at the same time, we do have a lot of duality and polarity energy being generated, especially in the United States with elections. Remember, I said that when you get into these elections, there's already just programming and platforms to have huge bundles of energy going like this, and we're seeing that get exacerbated now with protests that start to get linked to the political structures. So if you're protesting Black Lives Matter, that is linked up to the whole left democratic political function. If you're protesting Save the Children, a lot of that protesting been going on, not getting a whole lot of media coverage on that, but a lot of that protesting has been going on that is associated with right politics, the right wing of the politics. The whole political system is incredibly corrupt, incredibly 3D, and it's designed to control people through fear and manipulation. So any energy that gets fed into those political structures is energy that you are feeding to 3D. So I personally don't really feed the political structures energy directly. Now I do get sucked in, and I'll talk a little bit about it. The various protests kind of suck me in to commenting on the political structures, but I work really hard not to give my energy to those political structures because they're very 3D and they have to collapse along with the rest of the 3D that's collapsing. So let's talk about what has been happening in August and what's going to continue to happen in September. So 3D is collapsing. We've got this collapsing of the structures is still going on, and the goal of 3D is to gain negative energy, to grasp onto that negative energy. So the negative energy, let's be clear, is fear, judgment, anger, hatred, sadness, um, anxiousness, all of that is energy that feeds the 3D grid that's collapsing. And with all of this energy that is being generated right now, so 3D is working really hard to generate a lot of energy. And the energy that it's generating is, all these negative emotions. We've got division, we've got polarity, we've got chaos, we've got disruption, we've got fear, we've got lack, we've got scarcity, we've got social unrest, we've got hopelessness, we've got discomfort, darkness, duality, despair. And what the 3D power structure does is it manipulates and controls this energy and keeps it circulating within the 3D grid. So as that grid is collapsing, it's getting harder and harder to run off of this energy. It's harder to get this energy, for one thing, because a lot of people have moved up into this fourth dimensional bridge that is one of neutrality and observation. So the optimal place to be, if you're serious about transmuting these energies, is to stay neutral and to stay in a state of observation of all of this, not to get down into that fray. And it can be challenging, especially as these energies get more dense. These energies are getting more and more dense with everything that's going on. Like I said, there's just so much going on. There's a lot going on with the environment. We've got a lot of environmental disruption with just strange, bizarre weather. I don't know what the weather's like where you're at, but I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and the weather it's just been a really strange summer. A lot of extreme rain, and that's odd for Virginia. And we're getting the lower southern half of the country right now is being hit by hurricanes, which were they were the media was saying they were not survivable. Now I don't know what actually happened with the hurricanes because I was following to see how much destruction was going on, but it seemed like it didn't hit as bad as they were claiming that it was going to hit. And like I said, remember that this 3D, as 3D collapses, it's constantly trying to get people in a state of fear. So it's constantly trying to work up that fearful energy. So it could have been um, that they were trying to get a lot of fear going around the weather stuff, but it wasn't warranted because the weather really wasn't that destructive. But there has been fires, for example, a lot of fires in California that was real and very destructive. So a lot going on with the weather that is a part of this kind of whirlwind of third dimensional chaos and breakdown. So the goal is to be on this bridge of neutrality and observation. And that's so important because when you're in that space of neutrality, you are moving out of all of this. And that's where you want to be. You want to move, want to be amidst all of this because this is a dangerous space to be in. A lot of things pop off in this space that um, is dangerous. Quite honestly, it's dangerous. It could lead to death, harm to your physical body. Um, so you want to try and navigate your energetic. So remember, you've got an energetic bubble all around your physical body. And you want to keep that energy vibrating in these higher frequencies so that you're not sucked down into this. You don't want to be here. So you do that by focusing on um, the being the neutral observer of all of this, not getting sucked in. So you can do that by being in the moment. So when you're in your present moment, in your now moment, you are just aware of where you're at right now. If where you're at right now is good, you continuously focus on that. to create the next good now moment. It's like, dominoes. Think of it as, okay, if I'm good right now, the next one is going to be good right now. Next one's going to be good right now. So that's why focusing on the now moment is so important, because one now moment connects to the next now. One good now moment connects to the next good now moment, and you stay in that vibration of peaceful, connecting, good now moments. Um, Letting go is important. Okay, there's a lot of this energy, this combative, divisive, angry, fearful energy wants to get your attention and to suck you back into that whirlpool of all of that. And there's so much in the past, everyone's past, that's about this life. So that energy will try to pull you back in by going back to a past moment and press that button. Oh, remember this from the past. Press on that. And you can go there. You can go back into that past and be like, yeah, I remember that from the past. And I'm really angry about that past thing. And, so be careful of moving out of the now moment. Don't go into the past. Anything that happened in the past that you feel like doesn't serve you, wasn't something that you wanted to um, be something that, if it's not something that you want to revisit, let it go. Don't go back into there and find yourself back in this chaotic space. A state of flow. So flow is important, and by flow I mean not resisting anything, just looking for the next best opportunity for you that feels good for you. So, not trying to hold on to anything, not having expectations, just this is kind of how we move from the third dimensional space to the fourth and fifth dimensional spaces. We have to use and move within our energetic field differently. So, three dimensional is all about structure and rigidity and plans and time and making those plans and making those lists and checking it off. It's all about that kind of life. But as we move into the fourth and fifth dimensional energy flows, we have to change how we navigate that energy. So that energy is not going to be that rigid and that structured and that linear anymore. And this is going to be hard for you if you've if you were really masterful in the linear, um, energetic realm of being in that controlled, limited, structured environment. If you mastered how to navigate that, shifting gears into to an energy that's just more flowy and going with the flow is challenging. So know that it's not going to come easily, but it's the goal with what you're trying to accomplish right now. You want to move into a freer, more flowing, more trusting, energetic space. All right. Um, if you should happen to get um, anxious or fearful, like this happens to me sometimes because I'm like, oh my God, 3D is just breaking down, and what's coming at me and probably at you from a 3D grid is just crazy sometimes. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. We see all of this violence in the regular media and the social media. It's disturbing, um, and it can irritate. It can irritate. It can make you anxious. It can make you fearful. Um, so you have to be cognizant of of that happening, of how you're being affected by the energy that the three-dimensional, the crumbling three-dimensional grid is throwing at you. It wants to do that. It wants to get your fearful energy by showing you fearful images and engaging you in fearful thoughts and fearful feelings. And so when that happens, you have to say, okay, let me sit down, let me take some deep breaths. Breathing is very important because breathing is how we connect to our higher selves, our spiritual selves. It's through the breath. So when you're feeling that, you know, take deep cleansing breaths, and you want to sit there and be the observer. Say, what's going on energetically with me? What are these emotions that I am feeling? Know that you're not those emotions and let them pass through you. So that's a skill that we're working on as we navigate, as the third dimension breaks down and we try to experience these higher dimensions. We have to understand how to let certain kinds of consciousnesses flow through us. So the fearful, anxious, panicked consciousness that will hit you when you spend too much time um, looking at or engaging in the 3D structures, like when you go on social media, it's like I can barely stand it anymore because on social media, you're going to encounter a lot of negative 3D programming that's trying to suck you into the political stuff, the environmental stuff, the economic scarcity stuff. It's constantly trying to suck you into that. So when you go into that realm and you encounter all of that stuff, it's going to bring up some emotions in you that are going to be unpleasant, that you're going to need to transmute. It's going to bring up fear. It's going to bring up anxiety. It may make you scared. It may make you feel anxious. And so the task for you when you are encountering those consciousnesses, and remember, everything is energy. Everything is energy. So that consciousness, those feelings, it's all energy. And what can you do as a light worker? You can transmute that energy. You can change that energy. So the task is for you to take a deep breath and say to yourself, what is this feeling? And am I this feeling? Or am I watching this feeling as the observer? Am I looking at this and saying, hey, where is this fear coming from? And is it real? No, it's not real. It's coming from the crumbling 3D grid that wants you to generate this energy for it so that it can eat off of it, it can thrive off of it. And you take a step back from it and understand that I'm not this energy. This is not the kind of energy that I want to produce. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be in the business of feeding the crumbling third dimensional grid. It needs to crumble. It needs to die out. We need to focus our energy on building something new. So that's where the focus is. Um, while this 3D grid is crumbling, I am having difficulty within myself, and I've been honest about this every time I do a post, getting into the higher energetic frequencies. So the higher energetic frequencies, to be clear, are things like love and truth and respect and joy and delight and generosity. And when you're in these emotions, you can instantly manifest whatever it is that you want. When you are, consistently able to vibrate at those higher frequencies. Gratitude, that's another higher frequency that allows you to create. You got to be in the higher frequencies to create. I am having difficulty. I mean, I've been working on this for a really long time, and those very high frequency emotions have always been difficult for me. And so it's work. Not gonna lie that none of this comes easily. You have to work on honing your vibration and your frequencies. But um, the bridge where you can be neutral and you can be an observer, I find that to be a much easier place to be at. And when you're here, you're not in this. So once you're here, you can work to get higher. So what is the work that you're doing from this fourth dimensional bridge? You want to think about the world, the fifth dimensional grid and paradigm that you want to see, that you want to create. What do you want to see in this fifth dimensional paradigm that you are tired of seeing in this third dimensional paradigm. So I'll give you an example. I am so tired of violence. I don't like it. I'm over it. I'm done with it. I'm also done with scarcity programming, where it's always like, oh my God, we don't have enough. I'm so like just I can't even describe how exhausted I am with that kind of programming. It's just I can't do it anymore. I can't. I can't give my energy to it. I don't believe in it, and that's helpful because when I say no, I don't believe in this 3D lack scarcity programming and paradigm, then it opens up the space. Like that can't flourish in my reality. So that opens up the space for what I do want to create, which is an abundant reality, obviously. In order to create that abundant reality, I have to be vibrating at those very high emotions. Not there yet. But where I'm not, is I'm not in that lack, scarcity, fear programming. I'm not in that reality. So, where you put your energy and your focus is really important because it really does create your reality. Um, so while we're going through all of this breakdown, um, what's most important is to realize where it is that you want to focus your energy because that is what is going to create your personal reality. There's going to be just a lot that's happening in the external through the end of the year. And some people are telling all these jokes about 2020 is just such a jacked up year, and people are throwing it in the trash can, and people are tired of what we've been through during this year. It's been a lot with, the virus and how that has impacted people um, economically and health wise, and all this social unrest with the protesting because of just people have had enough of being so deeply manipulated and controlled. It's all erupting to the surface. So it's been a lot that we've all been coping with in 2020. But um, what you have to focus on with regards to creating your own reality and assisting the collective to raise the entire vibration, because none of us get ahead until all of us get ahead. So we're working to help the entire collective raise their vibrational frequencies. Um, you got to be clear on what it is that you're doing with your own energy. So remember to um, focus on what it is that you want to see in the new fifth dimensional paradigm. So, like I said, I'm so over violence. I don't want to see any more violence. I don't want that to be a part of my reality or anyone's reality, really. We're seeing a lot of violence in this 3D collapse. We're just constantly bombarded with images of violence, with police clashing with protesters, and protesters. It's so much. So we're seeing a lot of that. Um, you do not have to be engaged in that in your personal reality if you make, this very determined and pointed um, rebuke of it, as I have. I don't want to do that. I'm not participating in that. You're going to be vibrating at a frequency where it's not going to find you because I'm just not interested. I'm just not interested in any violence. And that is something that I would like to see in this new fifth dimensional paradigm. I like to see a world without violence. And so, by me being so focused and intent on that is true for me. I am not experiencing a world with violence, and that means not focusing on violent activities and behaviors. Like a lot of people are so afraid of what they're seeing um, in the 3D collapse that they're talking about buying guns and they're playing around with guns. And as for me, I'm like, nope, I am not playing with that energy, because that, the whole getting a gun and shooting a gun and having a gun and owning a gun, you're toying with the vibration and the frequency of violence. And I don't want any parts of that. So I'm not messing with it. Now, everybody has to make their own choices. So, whatever you choose to do in order to navigate these energies, it has consequences. So I think that, when you're playing around in that violent kind of energy, that weapons energy, you are calling in the frequency of violence. Um, so, but that may be what you need to do in order for you to feel safe. I know that a lot of people are doing that right now. And I understand people are afraid and people want to do whatever it is that they need to do to feel safe. It's not, but I know that it's not for me. That's not the kind of energy, that's not the kind of vibrations that I want to cultivate and I want to play around with. So you have to be really intentional. This is a time where we have to be really intentional with what it is that we're doing with our energy and the frequencies that we're vibrating at. So anything that is fear based is going to lead to you having some kind of engagement with the fear that is just rampant within the 3D collapsing grid right now. So um, that's what you need to consider. How are you going to navigate this energy as it gets denser and it gets darker and it pushes, it attempts to push buttons? How are you going to respond to that? Holding your space of neutrality and peace is a really, I think, good and safe bet to try to vibrate in that space. Because when you're neutral, when you're in a place of observation and non-judgment, that's what you're going to pull in to you. So try to be in that space as much as you possibly can. And if you can, take it even higher. And if you can take it higher, let me know, because that would be great to hear that, hey, I not only was I able to be in that neutral space where I'm not feeding into all of the fear, lack, scarcity paradigms, I'm able, with everything that's going on, I'm able to take it even higher to emotions and frequencies of joy and love. And if you can do that, you're really doing a great job. You're doing a lot of really good energetic work. All right, so get clear on how you want to navigate the energy for September, and know that it's gonna get more challenging as time goes on. But we got this. We understand this all energy. It's just all energy, and how we navigate and vibrate within the energy determines what we experience in our external reality. So keep those vibrations in a neutral, peaceful place or better. All right. Love you. Keep up the good work. Bye.